Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this morning we were asked to provide an update on the current economic performance and outlook for the Fijian economy and government's financial performance for the first 6 months of the 2020-2021 financial year, which is from August last year, 2020, to January 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are well familiar with the realities of the crisis by now. Due to this once-in-a-century COVID-19 pandemic, the Fijian economy is estimated to have had its largest ever economic decline of 19% in 2020, equivalent to a loss in GDP of over $2 billion. This follows a marginal contraction of 0.4% at the end of the 9 years of the consecutive economic growth that we've had, which was, of course, unprecedented. We've recovered from a 10-figure hits to our GDP in the past, such as Cyclone Winston. What makes this crisis more painful is its uncertain nature. The length of border closures is extending into some of our more extreme forecasts, and the impacts of cyclones Aiyaz and Ana, as well as other disasters. We've got one forecast now, perhaps to come at a Category 1 at this point in time, have dealt us devastating blows at a vulnerable time. Considering the damage done, as well as the uncertainty ahead, our GDP isn't likely to return to pre-COVID levels for at least the next 3 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, business activity is down across most sectors. The tourism sector remains the hardest hit. Visitor arrivals in 2020 declined by 84% to around 147,000 visitors, similar to arrival levels during the 1990s. Excuse me. Meanwhile, the numbers to start off 2021 mirror visitor arrivals in the 19th century. And without the economic ripple effects of tourism, we've recorded reduced demand and lowered activity economy-wide. Mr. Speaker, sir, apart from tourism, overall investment activity is also greatly subdued. Apart from the slowdown in government capital investments, for obvious reasons, some major construction projects have also slowed. However, the new tax incentives and measures announced in the financial year 2020-21, in particular for the private sector, has buoyed domestic investor confidence. Mr. Speaker, sir, we marked double-digit contractions in net VAT collections. Mr. Speaker, sir, weaker consumer demand is also reflective of the near-zero activity in the tourism sector and supply chain disruptions to some extent. Weak demand has also seen inflation remaining in the negative in the last 15 months. Mr. Speaker, sir, inflation has been negative since October 2019, with January inflation recorded at a negative 1.3%. If we're stuck in this situation for months more, or even another full year, we'll risk erasing much of the progress we worked for years to achieve, as our economy slowly slips back in time and falls in size. But even as the timeline for borders reopening has dragged on, another has accelerated. Effective vaccines have been developed at an astonishing pace, and they're demonstrably protecting populations from this pandemic. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, sir, we spoke on the urgency of procuring and rolling out COVID-19 vaccinations. Immunizing our citizens alongside the developed world and ensuring our place in the world's recovery are our top priorities in the near term. At the moment, that is the clearest economic policy we can pursue. And registration for vaccinations is the single greatest contribution every Fijian can make to revive our economy. Not only will it protect us and build confidence that we can safely be part of the tourism industry's global revival, but the biometric technology we're using to ensure vaccines are administered on a consistent, medically sound timeline will allow Fijians to travel around the world as well. In short, it's the path back to normalcy, and we must walk it together. Mr. Speaker, sir, labour market conditions have been fragile, with over 100,000 jobs affected both in the formal and informal sector in the immediate aftermath of COVID-19. While some employees have returned to work, many are still unemployed or on reduced hours and are receiving unemployment assistance through FNPF with the government backup. So far, Mr. Speaker, sir, a total of $206.7 million has been paid out to members. Of this, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has directly paid out $94.5 million, including $30.6 million from the COVID-19 response budget and $63.9 million from the financial year 2020-2021. A total of $100 million is budgeted for this initiative in this financial year 2020-2021, which includes $5 million set aside for retraining and reskilling of affected employees with the Fijian National University. The FNU has provided a proposal which is currently being assessed by the Ministry of Economy for funding and which will be rolled out very soon. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important to note that government's share of payouts have been increasing since the start of the initiative. Under Phase 1, government top-up accounted for only 13.5% of the total payment, while under the recent Round 4 of Phase 2, government has paid out around 80%. Moving forward, government will pay the bulk, or if not all, as members' general accounts get depleted. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are currently reviewing the assistance to ensure it remains sustainable and at the same time provides targeted assistance to those that are most affected. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the balance of payments front, foreign reserves remain at a comfortable level of around $2.2 billion, sufficient to cover 6.7 months of retained imports. This has been underpinned by a strong foreign reserves position prior to COVID-19 and the current low demand for imports and increased offshore borrowings by government, which more than offset the decline in tourism earnings and sluggish export receipts. While foreign reserves remain comfortable for the time being, Mr. Speaker, sir, we need proactive and sustainable measures to address the underlying balance of payment challenges. The export sector has to be enhanced, new foreign direct investments enticed, and the tourism sector rebuilt and, of course, diversified. Much needed productivity improvements across the economy to regain competitiveness is critically important. Monetary policy stance, Mr. Speaker, sir, continues to be accommodative with a large surplus liquidity of over $880 million in the financial sector, which will help keep interest rates low. Lower interest rates will play an important role in the long-term recovery of the economy when credit risk normalizes in a post-COVID-19 environment. Mr. Speaker, sir, the financial sector continues to be sound, backed by the strong capital positions of banks. The banks and financial institutions have also undertaken large amounts of loan provisioning to account for the increased likelihood of payment defaults due to the COVID-19 crisis. The Reserve Bank of Fiji is continually monitoring the situation and will mitigate the risk of contagion effects to the financial sector, especially the non-bank financial institutions which are exposed to higher risks. To support those customers facing difficulties in loan repayments, financial institutions had agreed to provide relief with principal and interest repayment holidays until March 2021. Government has also passed a new law through this Parliament to allow homeowners to have increased access of up to 50% of the FNPF preserved account for home loan repayments. Mr. Speaker, sir, economic recovery is largely dependent on the safe reopening of borders and post-COVID-19 economic recovery strategies. A significant number of fiscal measures, including large tax cuts and regulatory reforms, were announced as part of the financial year 2020-2021 budget. These measures were designed to raise the competitiveness of the tourism industry in preparation for border reopening and to also incentivize domestic and foreign investments into the country. More importantly, these measures were introduced to prop up confidence levels in a period of uncertainty and give Fijians access to goods on reduced prices to ease cost of living and improve socioeconomic conditions. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, despite the development of a vaccine, there is still a number of uncertainties which we have to encounter. For example, when will countries or which countries would allow their citizens to travel freely? When would borders fully open? And which conditions would be placed on travel? And what type of other additional requirements will be placed? Given this, Mr. Speaker, sir, growth in 2021 had been earlier projected to range anywhere around 1.6% to 8%, depending on the timing of borders reopening and the potential number of visitor arrivals. For 2022 and 2023, growth was expected to range from around 4% to 8%. However, these projections are currently under review. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the new projections would be released in the coming months as we get more certainty. To give an example, if we get ourselves all vaccinated, and if Australia is still vaccinating, or they may say if you go to Fiji you still have to come back and quarantine, but maybe USA may get vaccinated. So we may get arrivals from USA. So all of this can change. The segment in the tourism sector, which ones will be targeted, where will be the source markets, all of this is very much up in the air, and I'm sure a lot of this can get in fact resolved in the next few months. But this is why the point we made yesterday, we need to be ready and all of us need to be vaccinated. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me now also discuss about the state of government finances and fiscal performance for the first half of financial year 2020-2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, government's total revenue collection for the 6 months stood at $964.8 million, while total expenditures amounted to $1.5 billion. This resulted in a net deficit of $545.8 million, or 5.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, sir, total revenues for the 6 months was above the forecast by $107.3 million, or 12.5%. This is attributed to the higher than expected collections from both tax and non-tax revenues. Tax revenues, Mr. Speaker, sir, was above the forecast by $26.7 million, or 3.6%, while non-tax revenues exceeded estimated collections by $80.6 million, or 64.2%. Mr. Speaker, sir, total revenue collection of $964.8 million for the first 6 months represents around 57.7% of the annual projected revenue of $1.6 billion. Based on this trend, we remain on track to realize the projected revenue collections for the financial year 2020 and 2021, and most likely to surpass the forecast. Of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we compare these figures to the period prior to pre-COVID, it's still much lower than that. As highlighted in the last 2 budgets, Mr. Speaker, sir, the COVID-19 crisis has severely impacted government revenues as the tourism sector came to a standstill. Business activity slowed down, trade flows declined, and domestic demand plummeted. Monthly tax collections since April 2020 have averaged around 50% lower than, of course, the same period in 2019, which is the pre-COVID days. Mr. Speaker, sir, apart from the hemorrhaging of tax revenues, there is some outstanding VAT refunds which FRCS is now playing catch-up on. There is also some film tax rebates that are also in arrears. And we have now, for example, with the Survivor series, reached an agreement where they very kindly agreed to have those rebates paid over a period of 5 years. And we can still get some production back into Fiji, which will generate, as we know, a lot of jobs in the rural areas, all, of course, subject to the health protocol measures that need to be put in place. Mr. Speaker, sir, the higher than budgeted non-tax revenue collection is largely attributed to the one-off grants received during the first half of the financial year related to COVID-19 and cyclones. A total of $78.4 million has been received in the form of grants the first half of this fiscal year. The sources have been the European Union, Indonesia, Australia, and ADB. In terms of expenditure, Mr. Speaker, sir, total expenditure for the first 6 months amounted to $1.5 billion, around $470 million or 23.7% lower compared to the forecast for the period. Total expenditure in the 6 months represents around 41.1% of the total annual budget. Compared to the same period, of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, total expenditure for the 6 months is down by $195.6 million, 11.5%. While government has had a satisfactory fiscal outturn for the first 6 months of the financial year, fiscal risks remain for the second half of the financial year associated with natural disasters, cyclones, flooding. We still got up till the month of April, rehabilitation of schools and infrastructure, timing of vaccine acquisition, and risks associated with contingent liabilities. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of financing, a gross borrowing of $2.75 billion was budgeted for financial year 2020-2021. This included $1.4 billion to be sourced externally, $940 million to be sourced from the domestic market, and utilization of around $400 million cash balance carried over from the previous financial year, which we had accumulated in a nice little deposit for the refinancing of the global bond. In terms of external financing, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has in the first 6 months accessed a total of $530 million from the ADB and the Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. This includes $424 million from ADB, $106 million from AIIB. Currently, a total of around $710 million external financing is being finalized with the World Bank, ADB, and JICA. Preparations and discussions for these loans are progressing well and on track, with drawdown likely in the coming months. Other external loan-funded capital projects will continue to be drawn down based on the rate of project implementation. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, external financing budget for this fiscal year remains on track. Of the planned $940 million in domestic borrowings, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has already raised around $193.8 million in the first 6 months of this fiscal year based on the financing needs. While we have noted some tightening in the domestic market, Mr. Speaker, sir, the higher than budgeted revenue collections and potential expenditure savings will mitigate this. Government debt, Mr. Speaker, sir, stood at around $6.875 billion, equivalent to 69.5% of GDP. Domestic debt at $5.095 billion, equivalent to 51.5% of GDP, while external debt was around $1.78 billion, equivalent to 18% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, sir, you may recall that Fiji had a downward trajectory with regards to debt, which fell from 56.2% in 2010 to 43% in 2015. Then came, of course, Cyclone Winston, the rebuild from which drove up expenditure. In fact, we endured 13 cyclones since 2016, 13.5 actually if you count Cyclone Bina. Still, we managed a prudent debt to GDP ratio through that period. But the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis are further reaching than any single cyclone, or even 13 of them. Unlike in the aftermath of a storm, revenues have also been repressed by this pandemic for months, while GDP is steadily in decline, so therefore we have a double whammy in respect of measuring a debt to GDP ratio. While the budgeted level of borrowings for this fiscal year, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the budgeted level of borrowings for this fiscal year, debt levels are projected to increase to around $8.3 billion, or over 83% of GDP at the end of July 2021. A full 14 percentage points of that increase alone is attributed to the decline in our GDP. External debt is projected to increase to 26.1% of GDP, while domestic debt is projected at 57.3% of GDP. Contingent liabilities, Mr. Speaker, sir, stands at $1.45 billion, equivalent to around 14.7% of GDP. This, of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, includes government guaranteed debt of $832.9 million, callable ADB and World Bank subscriptions of $515.5 million, and other implicit liabilities of $103 million. There's also guarantees to FSC. In summary, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the first 6 months of financial year 2020-2021, Revenue collections have been above its forecast, while expenditure trend is slightly lower than the forecast for the first 6 months. External financing remains on track. While there is some tightening in domestic financing, they will be offset by the higher revenue collections and some savings in expenditure. Overall, we remain on track as per the financial year 2020-2021 budget. We know we've covered a tremendous amount of facts and figures, Mr. Speaker, sir, but we can all expect that in the usual manner, hopefully there won't be this time, turn into political football by the usual suspects, regardless of the economic context of this pandemic. But we want every Fijian to know, Mr. Speaker, sir, who's watching, we understand what these figures really mean, and we understand the stakes of our recovery. We understand it means jobs for our people. We understand it means dignity and security. And that is why our economy's revival is the most critical priority on our agenda. That is why we're advocating so forcefully to secure vaccines now and roll them out as quickly as we can. And we need everyone enlisted in that national effort. Because the only way we can come out stronger from this crisis together, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm about finished, is to be able to get on this agenda. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Economy has already started preparations for the upcoming 2021-2022 budget, which will be announced in June 2021. Cabinet has already approved the financial year 2021-2022 budget strategy, and the Ministry has met with all the permanent secretaries to provide an update last Friday on the guidelines for the formulation of the 2021-2022 budget. We have started receiving submissions from the public. We're also planning more of our online and face-to-face budget consultations, as well as a series of budget chat forums where we'll facilitate an online conversation on the state of the economy and our economic recovery. Mr. Speaker, sir, we encourage all those interested to join us before we make the announcements. Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honourable members, I thank the Attorney-General, Minister for Economy, Civil Service and Communications for his ministerial statement.